First contact and challenge. The Martian dust storm had finally settled when Dr. Sarah Chen noticed the anomaly. At first, she thought it was just another glitch in the deep space radar array she maintained at the Olympus Mons research station. But the signal's pattern was too regular, too precise to be natural. "Houston, this is Mars Base 1, she transmitted, trying to keep her voice steady. "I'm picking up what appears to be an artificial signal approximately 200 kilometers northeast of my position. Requesting verification." The 20-minute communications delay felt like an eternity. Sarah spent the time running every analysis she could think of on the signal. By the time Houston responded, she had already convinced herself this was it. Humanity's first contact with alien life. The response from Earth confirmed her findings. Within hours, a rescue mission was mobilized. Sarah watched through the station's reinforced windows as 3 rovers departed into the rust-colored landscape, carrying a team of first responders trained for every imaginable scenario. What they weren't trained for was the reality they would encounter. The alien ship had crashed into a crater, its silvery hull reflecting the pale Martian sunlight. It was smaller than expected, roughly the size of a terrestrial passenger jet. The rescue team approached cautiously, their heavily insulated suits protecting them from Mars' hostile environment. Inside, they found 5 beings. Their bodies were crystalline, almost translucent, with internal organs that pulsed with bioluminescence. 3 were already dead, their crystals darkened and cracked. 2 barely clung to life. The team's medic, Dr. James Rodriguez, made the call that would change human history. "These beings are dying," he radioed back. "Their life support is failing, and their bodies are literally crystallizing in this cold. We need to get them to the station immediately." Sarah prepared the medical bay, though she had no idea what these creatures might need. When the rovers returned, she got her first look at the aliens, and at their terror when they saw their rescuers. The aliens communicated through pulses of light within their crystalline bodies. It took the station's AI 3 hours to establish a basic translation matrix. What they learned was stunning. Humanity had just rescued members of the Crystalline Confederation, one of the oldest spacefaring civilizations in the galaxy. And they were terrified of us. You're Deathworlders." One of the aliens, who identified themselves as First Light of Dawn, managed to communicate. "Class 15 biological entities. How can you even exist?" Sarah exchanged confused looks with her colleagues. "I don't understand," she replied through the translator. "We're just trying to help." "Your bodies," the alien pulsed weakly. "The pressure you can withstand, the radiation you ignore, the corrosive atmosphere you breathe. Your planet, Earth, it's classified as a death world. No spacefaring race would colonize such a place, yet you thrive there." The second alien, calling themselves Evening Resonance, added, "Your rescue team. They carried us through conditions that would kill most species instantly. No protective fields, just primitive physical barriers. Impossible." Sarah couldn't help but smile. Those conditions, that was just another Tuesday on Mars for us. Wait until you see what we can do on Earth. The aliens' light patterns became erratic, their equivalent of horror. "Earth? You're taking us to Earth?" "It's the closest facility with a full medical bay," Dr. Rodriguez explained. "We have to stabilize your crystal matrices before they shatter completely. Our station here isn't equipped for long-term care. But Earth's gravity, the atmospheric pressure, the biological agents." First Light's pulses grew weaker. "We'll protect you," Sarah assured them. "That's what humans do. We've spent our entire history learning to survive in hostile environments. Now we can use that knowledge to help others survive too." As the rescue ship broke Mars orbit, carrying its precious crystalline cargo back to Earth, Sarah realized this was just the beginning. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for centuries, imagining themselves as the primitive species reaching up to the stars. Instead, they were about to be revealed to the galaxy as something far more interesting, the dangerous ones, The survivors, the impossible beings who thrived in conditions that other species considered lethal. But most importantly, they were about to show the galaxy that being dangerous didn't mean being destructive. Sometimes, it meant being able to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. The real challenge wasn't going to be proving that humans could survive anywhere. It would be proving that this very ability made them the perfect allies for a galaxy that had forgotten how to face adversity. As Earth grew larger in the view screen, Sarah began composing humanity's first official message to the galactic community. It needed to be perfect, diplomatic yet confident, peaceful yet strong. Because one thing was certain. After today, the galaxy would never be the same. She looked at their alien passengers, their crystalline forms now stabilized in specially designed containment units. They were still afraid, but there was something else in their light patterns now. Curiosity, and maybe even a hint of hope. "Welcome to Earth," she said softly, though they couldn't hear her through their protective chambers. "Let us show you what Deathworlders can really do." The Galactic Crisis. 6 months after the Marge rescue, Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the Galactic Council's emergency session, trying not to feel overwhelmed by the vast holographic chamber filled with representatives from over 1,000 species. The Crystalline Confederation's ambassador, Evening Resonance, stood beside her, no longer a crash survivor, but a crucial ally in humanity's integration into galactic society. "Distinguished representatives," Sarah began, her words automatically translated into hundreds of languages. "The quantum plague spreading through your systems is unlike anything we've encountered before. It doesn't just kill, it erases. It unravels the very quantum structure of conscious beings." The chamber erupted in flashes of light, pheromone bursts, and electromagnetic pulses, the various species' expressions of fear and despair. Reports had been flooding in for weeks. Entire civilizations going silent, their populations found frozen in place, their consciousness completely erased while their bodies remained intact. But humans, Evening Resonance chimed in, their crystalline form pulsing with urgent light patterns, are immune. Their neural structure, evolved under Earth's harsh conditions, operates on quantum principles we barely understand. The plague cannot gain purchase in their minds. "That's not entirely accurate," Sarah corrected gently. "We're not immune. We're resistant. Our brains evolved to maintain quantum coherence in an environment full of disruption. What you see as our primitive, densely packed neural structure is actually a sophisticated defense mechanism against quantum interference." A representative from the Silicon Collective spoke up, their voice coming through as harmonized tones. "You propose using this resistance somehow. But humans are so few, and the affected volumes of space are vast." Sarah activated a holographic display showing the human brain's quantum signature. "We've discovered something remarkable. When a human mind actively resists the plague, it doesn't just protect itself, it creates a localized field of quantum stability. We can amplify this effect." She gestured, and the display expanded to show a network of interconnected nodes. "We propose creating a network of quantum resonance stations, each powered by teams of human volunteers. Their combined resistance, properly amplified, could create safe zones where the plague cannot operate." "You would risk your people?" asked a gaseous being floating in a containment field. "The amplification process would expose them directly to the plague's effects. Even with your resistance, the neural strain would be enormous." Sarah smiled grimly. "Risk is what humans do best. We've already had thousands of volunteers step forward. Scientists, soldiers, teachers, artists. Every walk of life. This is why we evolved to survive Earth's challenges, so we could face this one." Evening Resonance's crystal matrix pulsed with what Sarah had learned to recognize as admiration. "When we first encountered humans, we thought their survival capabilities made them dangerous. We never imagined those same capabilities would make them our greatest hope. There's something else you should know," Sarah added, her voice growing serious. "Our analysis suggests this plague isn't natural. Its quantum patterns are too precise, too targeted. Someone engineered this weapon, and they designed it specifically to affect the quantum architecture common to most galactic species. The chamber fell silent. The implications were staggering. Not only was this an artificial weapon, but whoever created it had deliberately excluded humans from its effects. Were they being set up as saviors, or was there a darker purpose? "We don't have time to unravel all the mysteries," Sarah continued. "Right now, we need to focus on saving lives. Earth has already begun converting our lunar bases into quantum resonance stations. We request permission to establish similar facilities throughout affected space." The Council's deliberation was surprisingly brief. When faced with extinction, even the most cautious species could move quickly. Within hours, humanity had gone from being seen as dangerous curiosities to being the galaxy's best hope for survival. As Sarah left the chamber, evening resonance accompanied her. "There's something we haven't told the Council," the crystalline being pulsed quietly. "Our long-range sensors detected quantum disturbances matching the plague's signature, originating from outside the galaxy." Sarah nodded grimly. "We suspected as much. But let's solve one impossible problem at a time." That's another thing humans are good at. The quantum resonance stations would buy them time, but Sarah knew this was just the beginning. Someone or something had engineered this crisis, possibly to test humanity's capabilities or force their intervention. The real question was, what would they do next? As her ship broke orbit, heading back to Earth to begin implementing the quantum shield network, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy's troubles, and humanity's role in them, were just beginning. Operation Sanctuary. Commander Maya Patel stood in the control room of Sanctuary Station Alpha, formerly known as the International Space Station, watching as another refugee ship docked. The station had been dramatically expanded over the past 3 months, with new modules designed to accommodate dozens of different species, sprouting in all directions like a metallic coral reef in space. "Environmental controls holding steady in all sectors," reported Lieutenant Chen, Sarah's younger brother. "The methane breathers in Module C are stable, and we've successfully maintained the liquid nitrogen temperatures the crystalline refugees need in Module F." Maya nodded, pride swelling in her chest. When the quantum plague had started forcing entire civilizations to evacuate their homeworlds, humanity had faced a seemingly impossible challenge: how to house billions of refugees who couldn't survive in Earth-like conditions. Their solution had been characteristically human. If they couldn't make the refugees adapt to their environments, they would adapt the environments to the refugees. "Status update from the lunar facilities," she asked, watching as the new arrivals were directed to their designated sectors. "Operating at 115% design capacity, but holding," Chen replied. "The underground cities we built for Mars colonization plans. Turns out they're perfect for species that need high pressure and minimal radiation. Who knew our Deathworld survival tech would make us the galaxy's best shelter builders?" The station's AI interrupted with an urgent alert. "Commander, we're detecting quantum plague signatures approaching the Arcturus sector. Estimate 14 billion refugees will need evacuation within the next 72 hours. Maya felt a headache building. They were already stretched thin, with every human-built shelter in the solar system hacked beyond capacity. But she knew they would find a way. They always did. "Contact the deep-sea construction teams," she ordered. "Tell them we need those underwater habitats ready ahead of schedule. And get me aligned to the Australian Outback Development Project. Those underground thermal regulatory systems need to be online yesterday." A soft chime announced a visitor. Dr. Evening Resonance floated into the control room in their containment field, their crystalline form pulsing with what Maya had learned to recognize as agitation. "Commander," the alien scientist greeted her, "we've completed our analysis of the quantum resonance patterns generated by the human volunteers. There's something unprecedented occurring." Maya gestured for them to continue, even as she coordinated the upcoming evacuation on another screen. "The quantum fields humans generate when resisting the plague. They're not just creating safe zones. They're evolving, adapting. The more humans work together in the resonance chambers, the stronger and more sophisticated the fields become. It's as if your species' neural architecture is learning to actively counter the plague's programming. Maya paused her evacuation planning. Is that even possible? I thought quantum fields couldn't be altered once established. They can't be. Unless evening resonance's pulses became erratic. Unless whoever engineered the plague wanted this to happen. Unless this entire crisis was designed to force humans to develop these capabilities. Before Maya could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Lieutenant Chen's hands flew over his controls. Multiple quantum plague fronts converging. They're not following their previous patterns. They're actively moving to surround Earth's quantum shield network. Maya's military training kicked in. This was never about destroying the other species, she realized. It was about forcing us to develop quantum shielding technology. We're not the saviors. We're the targets. But why? Evening Resonance's crystal matrix flickered with confusion. Why go through such an elaborate scheme? Because, Maya said grimly, someone wanted to make absolutely sure we'd develop these defenses. The question is, what are they defending us against? The answer came sooner than anyone expected. At that moment, across every communication channel in human space, a message began repeating in perfect English. Quarantine protocols initiated. Human quantum potential confirmed. Preparing for Phase 2. Maya looked out at the vast structure of Sanctuary Station, at the millions of refugees they'd saved, at the quantum shield network humanity had built to protect them all. Whatever was coming, they had unknowingly been preparing for it all along. Sound General Quarters, she ordered, and get me Dr. Chen at the Quantum Research Center. If someone engineered this whole crisis to prepare us for something worse, I want to know what we're really up against. As the station's alert systems activated, Maya couldn't help but appreciate the irony. Humanity had spent months proving they could be the galaxy's protectors. Now they might have to prove they could be its warriors as well. The human solution. Dr. Sarah Chen hadn't slept in 3 days. The message that had interrupted their refugee operations kept repeating in her mind. Quarantine protocols initiated. Human quantum potential confirmed. Preparing for Phase 2. She stood in the heart of the Quantum Research Center beneath the Antarctic ice, surrounded by holographic displays showing data from the quantum shield network. Evening resonance floated nearby, their crystalline form dimmed from exhaustion. There, Sarah pointed to a pattern in the quantum field data. Look at how the plague behaves when it encounters our shields. It's not trying to break through. It's trying to strengthen them. Like an immune response, evening resonance pulsed thoughtfully, or a training program. The center's massive quantum computer churned through calculations as Sarah input new parameters. She had brought together the best minds from Earth and their alien allies, all working to understand what they were truly facing. Commander Paddle to Research Center. Maya's voice came through the comm system. We're detecting something massive approaching from intergalactic space. Whatever it is, it's bending space-time around itself. Sarah pulled up the long-range sensor data and felt her breath catch. The object was larger than anything she'd ever seen. A structure the size of a solar system, composed of what appeared to be pure quantum energy. It's a quantum entity. Evening resonance pulsed in awe. We thought they were myths, beings that evolved beyond physical form to exist as pure quantum information. The legends say they once shepherded young species, protecting them from. The crystalline being fell silent as the implications hit them both. Sarah's hands flew over the controls, correlating data from multiple sources. The plague, the forced evolution of our quantum shielding, the quarantine. It wasn't an attack. It was preparation. Dr. Chen, a new voice emerged from every speaker in the facility. It was unlike anything human ears had ever heard, yet somehow perfectly comprehensible. We are the custodians. For billions of years, we have watched species rise and fall, protecting those with potential from that, which comes between universes. The holographic displays flickered, showing something that hurt Sarah's eyes to look at. shapes and dimensions that shouldn't exist in normal space. Every 100 million years, the barriers between realities grow thin. That which comes between attempts to enter our universe, consuming all quantum-based consciousness it encounters. Most species' neural patterns are easily devoured, but not humans, Sarah realized. Our brains evolved differently because of Earth's conditions. Your species developed quantum resistance naturally, through the challenges of your death world, the voice confirmed. But it needed to be strengthened, refined. The plague was a training program, forcing you to develop defensive capabilities that normally take millions of years to evolve. Commander Patel's voice cut in urgently. Multiple breaches detected in reality. Something's trying to punch through into our space. Sarah watched in horror as tears appeared in the fabric of space-time itself. Through them, she caught glimpses of something vast and hungry, something that existed in dimensions her mind couldn't process. The barriers are failing ahead of schedule, the custodian announced. We cannot fight that which comes between. We can only help species develop the means to resist it. Humanity's quantum shields are now the only defense this galaxy has. Sarah looked at the data streaming across her screens, her mind racing. The quantum shields humans generated weren't just barriers. They were patterns, songs in the quantum foam of space itself. And those patterns could be changed, adapted. We don't need to just defend, she said slowly. Earth's history is full of species that learn to thrive in deadly environments by adapting them. What if we could change the quantum structure of our universe enough that they can't exist here at all? The custodian was silent for a long moment. Such an attempt has never been made. The energy requirements alone would be massive, Sarah finished. But we have billions of refugees in our shelters, representing thousands of species. Each one thinks differently, processes quantum information in unique ways. If we could link them all together, with humanity's natural quantum resistance as the foundation. Commander Patel's voice carried a hint of her old military confidence, a combined defense, using humanity's strength to unite the galaxy's diversity. That's about as human a solution as I can imagine. As tears and reality continued to spread across space, Sarah began mobilizing every quantum researcher on Earth. They had hours, at most, to figure out how to orchestrate the biggest collaboration in galactic history. They were about to attempt something that had never been done before, but then, that was what humans did best. Guardians of the galaxy. The quantum resonance chambers aboard Sanctuary Station Alpha hummed with unprecedented energy as Sarah Chen made the final adjustments. Around her, thousands of beings from across the galaxy had volunteered to participate in humanity's desperate plan. Each chamber was uniquely calibrated to its occupant's quantum signature, all of them synchronized through the human quantum shield network. Neural links stable, Lieutenant Chen reported from his station. All volunteers are synchronized and ready. Maya Patel stood at the command center, coordinating with similar stations across Earth's sphere of influence. The tiers in space-time are expanding exponentially. Whatever's trying to come through, it's getting stronger. Through the station's windows, reality itself seemed to be cracking. Geometric patterns that shouldn't exist in three-dimensional space sprawled across the void, leaking something that looked like liquid darkness into their universe. The custodian was right. Evening resonance pulsed from their chamber. That which comes between. It's not just entering our universe. It's trying to rewrite its fundamental laws to match its own reality. Sarah nodded grimly. Then we'll just have to rewrite them first. She opened a channel to all stations. This is Dr. Chen. Everyone in position. The responses came in dozens of languages, all affirmative. Every refugee shelter humanity had built was now part of the largest quantum network ever created. Billions of minds, each processing quantum information in unique ways, all guided by humanity's natural resistance to quantum interference. Remember, Sarah broadcast, don't fight the quantum shifts. Flow with them, like water around rocks. Humanity evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. But we didn't just survive. We learned to dance with danger. Now we'll teach the universe that same dance." She activated the network. Instantly, Sarah's consciousness expanded. She could feel every mind in the network. Human minds burning bright with their death world-forged resistance. Crystalline minds refracting quantum patterns like living prisms. Gaseous minds spreading quantum effects like cosmic winds. And thousands of other species each adding their unique resonance to the whole. Through it all pulsed humanity's pattern, not fighting against the quantum chaos, but embracing it, channeling it, reshaping it. Just as humans had learned to thrive in Earth's harsh conditions by adapting to them, now they taught the universe itself how to adapt. The custodian's voice echoed through the network. "Extraordinary. You're not simply creating a barrier. You're fundamentally altering how quantum information propagates through space-time. Where that which comes between tried to impose its alien physics on their universe, the network responded with infinite variation, infinite adaptation. The tiers in reality began to seal themselves, not through force, but through change. Their universe was learning to reject incompatible quantum patterns automatically, like an immune system identifying threats. It's working." Maya's voice carried equal parts exhaustion and triumph. "The incursions are failing. Reality is stabilizing." Sarah watched through the network as the last tiers sealed themselves. The quantum structure of their universe had been permanently altered, not made hostile to that which comes between, but simply made too dynamic, too adaptable for it to gain purchase. "Fascinating," the custodian observed. "In all our billions of years of watching species evolve, we never considered this approach. We always sought to help them build stronger defenses. You taught them to build a more resilient universe instead." As the network gradually powered down, Sarah felt the connection to billions of minds fade. But something remained, a sense of unity, of shared purpose that transcended species boundaries. Humanity had done more than save the galaxy. They had shown it a new way to exist. "So what happens now?" Maya asked as the emergency alerts finally fell silent. Sarah looked out at the vast structure of Sanctuary Station, no longer just a refuge, but a symbol of what different species could achieve together. "Now we do what humanity has always done. We adapt, we grow, and we help others do the same. The galaxy called us Deathworlders because we could survive anywhere. Time to show them we can help anyone thrive anywhere too." Evening Resonance's crystal matrix pulsed with what Sarah now recognized as joy. "You know, when we first crashed on Mars, we thought meeting humans was the worst thing that could happen to us. We had no idea it would end up saving not just our species, but all of reality." Sarah smiled. "That's the thing about humans. We're full of surprises." As cleanup operations began across the galaxy, Sarah knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had proven they could be more than survivors, more than warriors, more than protectors. They could be teachers, showing the galaxy that the very adaptations they had developed to survive their death world were the key to helping all species thrive. The custodians had chosen humanity to face this crisis, not because they were the strongest or the most advanced, but because they had learned the most important lesson of all. True strength lies not in dominating hostile conditions, but in learning to dance with them. And now, that dance would continue among the stars.